Today we're going to do our intro for Safety in Art Metal. I have the safety contracts on the tables in class as well as the presentation in this module, so you can follow along on the slideshow linked in your announcement for today. Really what we're talking about are the general safety protocols we'll have to follow as well as the PPE or personal protective equipment, so we all understand expectations in order to feel like we can collaborate together and create freely while keeping our work area clean and safe. This slide actually shows you your instructor wearing some of the PPE so you can see what you'll look like. Remember, it's not a matter of being stylish, it's a matter of protecting ourselves and others. We don't want any accidents, so this is what you will look like when you're in the metals classroom. As you can see, we will often need safety glasses and ear protection in class. Both are readily available by the windows in the classroom. Additionally, you should wear closed-toed shoes in case you drop heavy equipment on the floor and possibly on your feet. We sometimes wear fire-retardant gloves or nylon gloves in order to protect our hands from different processes. More often than not, it's to protect our hands from heat. There are also times we have to protect our hands from the chemicals necessary for certain processes. The reason natural fibers are mentioned is because if clothing were to start on fire, natural fibers can be put out quickly, causing less damage than synthetic fibers, which have plastic in them. As you can see, a mask is sometimes needed to protect our lungs from tiny particles that may enter our lungs. Additionally, if you have long hair, there are several processes in which you will have to tie your hair back to protect yourself from the risk of fire or getting the hair caught in spinning parts of the machine, both of which could cause a lot of damage to your hair and quite a bit of physical pain. Why do you think you have to wear safety glasses in the metals room? That's right. They're there to protect your eyes, and there are several processes we're doing where you'll have to protect your eyes from high-speed flying debris that could damage your eyes or blind you. Other general rules that should seem like common sense are to be responsible and stay on task. This means you shouldn't proceed if you don't know what you're doing and not to be goofing around in the studio, as this could hurt you or someone else. Because of the chemicals for certain processes and the tiny particles produced when creating jewelry, you shouldn't eat in the metal studio. The tiny particles, when ingested, could cause damage to your digestive tract or make you very sick. It's something called heavy metal poisoning. You should also wash your hands when you are done so you don't accidentally scratch your eyes from metal particles that are on your hands. As a review, why shouldn't you eat in the studio? That's right, you could get heavy metal poisoning and get very, very sick. Blech. Moving on, other general safety norms are always proceeding with caution, carrying items with the sharp end down, and cut away from yourself. Additionally, at the end of each class period, we will clean the studio space and put the tools away so the next people that come into the room are able to work right away. The last item on this slide is one of the most important because it's talking about ventilation for the classroom. Ventilation protects us from dangerous fumes that could cause lung damage and from toxic fumes that could cause death. We will use ventilation during working time, which means that you need to pay attention during the daily directions at the beginning of class because the instructor will give reminders about safety and what is expected during working time, and you may not be able to hear the instructor when the vents are on. Another thing in which to be aware is understanding how to neutralize acid. Yes, I said acid. Like chemistry, we will be using acid. The pickle that removes fire scale from your work has acid in it. You have to use baking soda to neutralize it before we can dispose of it. There are also other safety considerations for the pickle that we will go over later. If you get cut or burned in class, you need to inform the instructor. Even if the minor cut or burn can be handled in the classroom, it should be reported to the instructor because he or she is responsible for your safety while you're in the studio space. Not following through on safety protocols will earn studio chores or other consequences. Looking around the room, I would like to see hands raised if you feel confident about being able to follow general maintenance at this point. Give me a thumbs up if you feel that way. Thank you. If you aren't there yet, don't worry. We'll make you feel more comfortable in time. One of the things students feel most nervous about in this class is the use of fire. That is a really good thing because fire is dangerous. However, just like a campfire, as long as we follow safety protocols, we can use the fire to create really cool jewelry. The key is paying attention to directions on how to use different tools that produce heat and asking questions during presentations. It's better to ask than get hurt. Plus, someone else may have the same question as you do, so asking during the presentation will help the whole class. When you use torches, the two most important things are knowing where the valves are for the gas and air, both on the torch itself and on the main shutoff that is under the soldering booth. And remember, the exhaust fan or ventilation should always be on. So make sure that you are aware of where you are so you don't burn yourself. Additionally, if you come to the soldering booth, you should hover your hand over items to make sure that they are not still hot. Don't just pick up tools that you see on that surface. You may burn yourself. Also, make sure you keep a burning torch pointed away from people. The kilns in the back of the room reach 2100 degrees. When they are on, you should not touch the outer surfaces as they could burn you. Additionally, you shouldn't look through the peepholes because hot air that comes out could damage your eyes. So here is another question that I have for you. Think to yourself about what makes you most nervous in working with torches and fire. It might be all of this right now, but we will be reviewing more and taking a safety quiz so you're ready to use the heat when we need to do so. Another thing that should make you feel a bit more comfortable is knowing where the fire extinguisher is in the classroom. This slide shows it in the back of the room by the windows near the ceramics door. Okay, next question. What is one reason you should wear your long hair back when in the metals classroom? If you said you could get burned, you were right. If you said you could get it caught in a machine or tool with spinning parts, you were also correct. Notice the teacher is modeling this as well when working with tools. All the safety protocols are things we should help each other with so we protect ourselves and can work freely and happily in class. We will be sweeping off and cleaning tables at the end of each period so no one gets metal debris on them. First, we will sweep off the tables and then we will spray and wipe them down. You should also wash your hands at the end of the period. There are a number of other procedures and cleanup things that we will do each day. This is also in this module. Remember, we will be sweeping up and wiping the tables down at the end of each class period. The eye wash station is important to know so that if you happen to get something in your eye, you can run water wash on your eyes for 15 minutes to flush the chemical or particle that may have gotten in your eyes out of your eyes. This may be really scary to some of you, but I want you to know about where that eye wash station is so that if you have to use it, you can. It is located in the back of the classroom by the sink. In the 20-some years I've worked here, I've only had to use it like once. Moving on to power equipment, there are a few things you need to know regarding your safety and the safety of others. You absolutely shouldn't be using tools you don't know how to use because you could get hurt or damage the tool. We take a safety and tools quiz in each unit, so until that happens, you are not to be using those items. Never leave the power tools running or unattended, even if they're slowing down. You have to make sure everything is off before leaving the area. Also, if there is damage to a tool, tell the instructor so he or she can tell others or make necessary repairs. Don't use excessive force on equipment or the tools that have bits in them or they will break. Bits need to be tight, but over-tightening will break the tool. Read labels for use and cleanup and turn things off when they're not being used. The image on the right is a Dremel tool press. Make sure you unplug it before you change the bit so you don't accidentally hurt yourself or break the Dremel. The large silver wrench on the top of the machine will take the tool out of the press and then you can change the bit as normal. If you don't know how to change the bit, re-watch the instruction video, and if you're still confused, ask a friend who has done it before or your instructor to help you. It's also really important to have dry hands when working with any power tool because you could get electrocuted otherwise. The same is true of pulling the cord out of the wall. Pull it from the large end, not the skinny part of the wire. Pulling it just on the wire could break the cord, or it could come flying and hit you. We also need to talk about respecting the studio space. You have to give it to get it. This means that friends who are not trained on the equipment shouldn't be in the metals classroom because the instructors are responsible for your safety. Anyone who is being disrespectful of the space or teachers will get an appropriate consequence from administration if speaking with the instructor is not enough to change the person's behavior. Again, this is for your safety so we can all work together freely. What causes electrocution again? That's right, touching power equipment with wet hands or pulling things out of the wall by anything other than the end of the cord. Okay, now we have to talk about acids. We will have to use something called pickle. The pickle is an acid that chemically cleans metals in order for us to complete certain art techniques. Notice that the crock pots that have the pickle solution in them have covers. It's extremely important for you to cover the pickle after you place your piece in it because the fumes could kill you if they boil. Yes, I did say kill you. They are toxic. We normally have the pickle set on the lowest temperature, but occasionally the pickle will boil when the water in the container gets lower from heat escaping from the lid. Always cover the pickle pot when you're finished in the area to protect yourself and others. You should also notice that there are safety goggles and gloves in this photo, which are also necessary to protect your hands and eyes. As we continue to work, there are times you may have to help change the pickle solution, which can be done with baking soda. The baking soda, again, neutralizes the acid, making it safe to touch and dispose of after use. Just in case there's ever an emergency in the classroom, there's an EMS button by the door to the classroom. It's very close to where you scan in. No one but the teacher should press that button. It's also while we stay in our seats until the dismissal bell sounds, so we don't accidentally hit the button with our backpacks. As another review, what are you supposed to do if you get hurt while in the metal studio? That's right, inform the teacher so he or she can deal with the situation or get the appropriate help as needed. Remember, we will be cleaning the art studio space at the end of each class period. You also have to remember to clean any cut you have or use a Band-Aid if you get cut or burned. We will be talking about the processes that make you the most nervous in a moment, but right now, please fill out the safety form that is linked in the slide in the presentation. You can also go in the module to do this. Then look at the safety contract again to see if there are any things you still have questions about. We will then review for the safety quiz with a Kahoot, and you'll be expected to bring the safety contract back signed by yourself and a parent or guardian, so we are all aware of the safety regulations for this class.